Hello and welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming OCS exams happening in August 2024. My name is Nick and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for OCS at TCS. So let's look at the session outcomes. So first things first, since this webinar is dedicated towards a pre-scene analysis, I will be highlighting about what you need to focus on when it comes to pre-scene application. When developing your answers, it's best that you bring in some information from the pre-scene document with the intention of ensuring that you add value to your answers. So I will teach you how to do it in the first part. And in the second and third parts of today's webinar, I will be conducting an industry analysis as well as taking you through the internal dynamics of your chosen company, Kanann. Okay, so before we get into the technicalities, let me quickly remind you about the upcoming webinars and workshops which we have scheduled for you. Mind you, each of these webinars and workshops are conducted free of charge on a weekly basis up until your exam. So I hope you will attend these sessions without fail so that you gain the most amount of benefit because by attending these webinars and workshops, you have a chance of getting in touch with a tutor on a weekly basis, which will help you immensely keep track of your performance again on a weekly basis. So the third webinar is happening on the 29th of June, which is next Saturday. And out of the 4 webinars which we have scheduled, the most important is the third webinar, Answering Technique, because I will be teaching you how to develop answers, at the same time teaching you how to manage your time appropriately at the OCS exam, because most students end up failing the OCS exam because they run out of time, and mainly because of the fact that they are clueless about how to structure answers, or they are clueless about an answering strategy. So all these elements will be covered in the third and upcoming webinar. And after teaching you these elements, I will also teach you how to implement them in a practical sense by taking you through a mock exam and its answer plan. So this is happening on the 29th of June. And in the 4th webinar, Exam Prep, I will be taking you through examiners' comments so that you understand what's expected from you, and so that you understand the mindset of the CIMA examiner. And on top of that, I will also highlight tips pertinent to what you need to do to maintain or develop a positive attitude when conducting your preparations. And in the workshops, I will be taking you through questions focused on each pillar covered within the CIMA OCS syllabus. And on top of that, via these workshops, I will always be opening up for a Q&A session where you can ask questions if there are any. And by the time you are attending these workshops, you should be done with 1 or 2 mock exams as per our study plan. So, once you're done with mock exams, you will definitely have questions, and you can, find answers to all your queries via these workshops. And the final workshop is happening 2 or 3 days before your exam. And in the final workshop, I will be sharing last minute tips with you, with the intention of ensuring that you walk into the exam with a positive mindset and that you believe in yourself, because if you're not too confident about yourself, you cannot pass the OCS exam. So I hope you'd attend these free webinars and workshops without fail on a weekly basis. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritties. First things first, what are you supposed to do when it comes to pre-scene application? So first things first, you need to focus on knowing your key information. For instance, the fact that Kanann sells 5 different saddle ranges. So likewise, you need to have an understanding about the most important points highlighted within the pre-scene document. However, when you try to do it on your own, it's not too easy, because you'd get your hands on a document which goes on for 25 to 30 pages. So, going through all this information and trying to figure out which of the information is actually, important and which of them is not too important, it's not easy for you to, understand. these demarcations. So that's exactly why we have developed an annotated preseen for you. So if you go through this annotated preseen, you can easily understand and easily spot the most important points highlighted within the preseen document. And on top of that, via TikTok, we have shared 3 videos, and these 3 videos were built with the intention of coming up with a good mind map which covers the entire preseen document. So within 6 to 7 minutes, if you go through these 3 TikTok videos on a daily basis until your exam, you need not do anything else to remember what appears within your preseen document. So I hope you'd utilize these resources, especially the TikTok videos. And on top of that, your life will become easy when you go through our annotated preseen, which you'd see in a little while, because I will be utilizing the annotated preseen when conducting the preseen analysis. Then you have to go through the ratios, and you need to remember the key ratios. You need not remember all ratios, because you are playing the role of a finance officer. As a finance officer, you are not involved with long-term decision making. So because of that, you have to be conversant with numbers pertaining to working capital cycle. Therefore, you have to be conversant about the receivable days, payable days, and inventory days. And you have to be conversant with the profitability ratios. Other than that, you need not worry too much about the ratios. Again, we have made your life easy because we have developed a set of slides focusing on a financial analysis. And these slides, these slides have been developed based on the financial statements provided at the very end of your preseen document. You will in a little while again see what I'm talking about. Okay, so you have to be conversant about ratios, especially working capital ratios as well as profitability ratios. And you have to prepare for possible scenarios by attempting mock exams, but you have to be open-minded. Why am I saying this? Because at the exam, the examiner is trying to replicate a real-life corporate environment. So it's as if you walk into office, open your laptop, and you have received an email, and considering the information presented in the email, you have to come up with your responses. So you have to adhere to a similar approach at your real exam. So at or within a real-life corporate environment, you cannot predict what Kanann will face. So for instance, let's assume you walk into office tomorrow. Until you read through your emails, you cannot identify what type of issues the company is facing or what type of opportunities the company is trying to exploit. So there's absolutely no point of trying to predict the type of questions which are going to be thrown at you. Instead, you have to attempt mock exams which covers the entire syllabus. Because if you attempt mock exams which covers the entire syllabus, you'd be totally conversant about how each syllabus area is tested at your exam. Then you'd know how to develop your answers appropriately. If so, you will comfortably pass the OCS exam. So you have to prepare for possible scenarios by attempting mock exams covering the entire syllabus. However, keep an open mind, because you cannot predict what the company will face in the future. And remember that the scenario presented in the exam carries the latest information. So via the preseen document, the examiner gives you an indication about what has happened within the company and its industry in the past. So if you had gone through the preseen document so far, you'd understand what I'm talking about. The examiner had provided an introduction about the company, thereby talking about its history. Then the examiner had spoken about what happens within the industry, again focusing about what has happened within the industry in the past. And as the third part, the examiner had given you information about what happens within each and every department within Kanann. Again, all this information is about what the company was up to in the past. And at the very end, financial statements of the previous year had been provided. So the preseen gives you an indication about what the company has faced since its inception, what happens within its industry, and what has happened in a financial sense in the last 2 years. And when you walk into the exam, just like what you'd experience in a real life corporate environment, It's as if you are opening an email, reading through the email, thereby trying to understand what the company faces at the moment, and considering the present information, you have to develop your answers. So you have to be conversant with what appears within the Preseen document. And on top of that, you have to have the capability to read through the scenario and understand what the company faces at the moment or at present. And based on present information, develop relevant answers. You will learn how to do this in our third webinar answering technique, when I take you through a mock exam and its answer plan when explaining this answering technique in our upcoming webinar. So make sure to attend it without fail. Okay, and when it comes to referring to Preseen information when developing your answers, what are you expected to do? You are supposed to refer or cite in such a way that it adds value to your answer. So there's absolutely no point of trying to bring in information from the Preseen with the intention of showing the examiner that you have gone through the Preseen document. Whenever you are bringing in information from the Preseen, it should be relevant to the scenario at hand. So if the question or the scenario is about budgeting, and if you mention the fact that Kanann deals with multiple suppliers when conducting its supply operations, there is no relevance. If the question is about budgeting, and if you're talking about suppliers, the number of suppliers the company is dealing with, there's absolutely no point of bringing in such information. So whenever you are bringing information from the Preseen, you have to make sure that it's extremely relevant to the scenario at hand, or else you'd end up losing out marks. So you have to show your understanding of the Preseen material through relevant answers without making it obvious that you are trying to prove you've studied the Preseen document. So in order to understand how to do this in a fruitful manner or in a practical manner, attend webinar 3 answering technique, which is happening next Saturday. And you can also learn how to do this by referring to the suggested answers of the 6 mock exams which we have developed. Their answer plans, as well as the answer plans which we have developed for each of the 6 mock exams. And you can further fine-tune your skill set about how to bring in or how to relate to Preseen information by watching the OCS masterclasses. Okay, so that's how we are supposed to refer to Preseen information. Always remember, if you are bringing in information from the Preseen, the information should be relevant to the scenario at hand. There's absolutely no point of highlighting irrelevant information within your answers. If you do so, you'd end up losing marks. Okay, and how are you supposed to tackle E1, F1, and P1 related syllabus areas? Most of the students were asking this question after last week's webinar. So there's absolutely no point of coming up with highly theoretical answers or providing or developing highly theoretical answers. Instead, you have to focus on application. So whenever you are utilizing your theoretical knowledge, you have to make sure that you apply this theoretical knowledge to the given scenario, considering the information presented in each and every scenario. Again, you'd understand how to do this after I take you through the answering technique, which I'll highlight in the in next week's webinar. So all in all, if I give you a synopsis of what you are supposed to do, for instance, if there is a question about variance analysis, you have to utilize your knowledge about variances. So for instance, let's assume the question is about sales variances. So if that is the case, you have to know about the different types of sales variances, how to calculate the sales variances, and considering the information presented in the scenario, you have to say why each and every variance has occurred. So there's absolutely no point of developing a highly theoretical answer, trying to explain each and every sales variance without referring to the information presented in the scenario. So at the exam, if there's a question about sales variances, you will be provided with a variance report. And considering the information presented in the variance report, you have to develop answers. So in other words, when developing answers, you have to make sure to relate to the information presented in each scenario, there's absolutely no point of developing highly theoretical answers. So that's exactly why you need to prepare for application of theories and concepts as and when necessary. And on top of that, you have to be ready to interpret figures and numbers, because at the OCS exam, you are not supposed to, do major calculations or computations. Instead, all the facts and figures and the numbers will be provided to you at the exam as part of reference material or as part of the scenario. For instance, I was talking about, sales variances. So you need not calculate any of the variances. The variance report will be provided at the exam. Your role is to evaluate the numbers provided or explain the numbers provided utilizing your theoretical knowledge. So that's how we are supposed to deal with the facts and figures. And when preparing for the exam, do not skip any syllabus area or any topic covered under each of the three pillars, E1, F1, and P1. I've seen students, students usually struggle with the P1 elements, because management accountancy is not easy. Out of the three pillars, most students find the P1 pillar to be the hardest. So because of that, there's a tendency for students to leave out certain syllabus areas or certain concepts which are covered within the P1 syllabus. So one such area students leave out is with regards to linear programming, because most students do not understand what is covered under linear programming, how to draw up the graphs and whatnot, or how to interpret the graphs. So because of that, they forget about linear programming when conducting their preparations. However, linear programming had been tested since the OCS exam started. Okay, and if there was a question about it, or at your exam, if there's a question about linear programming, the weightage will be somewhere around 60 to 50%. So if you leave out linear programming or forget about linear programming when conducting your preparations, and if such a question appears at your exam, you end up losing a majority of marks allocated for a certain task. And on top of that, this leads to panic, because when you see something which you did not expect at your exam, you'd panic, and panic leads to brain freeze. And when you are experiencing brain freeze, however much effort you are putting in to develop your answers, you cannot come up with successful answers. So that's exactly why you should not skip any of the topics which are covered in your E1, F1, and P1 pillars. And do not rely on predictions, as I told you earlier, because any area can be examined. I've even seen tutors predicting about probable areas which can be, or highly probable areas which can be tested at the exam, and the type of syllabus areas which will not be tested at the OCS exam, rather than relying on predictions. Since the CIMA examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment, and as I told you earlier, in a real life corporate environment, you cannot predict what the company is going to face in the future. So because of that, there's absolutely no point of relying on predictions. Instead, your job should be to prepare 100%. So how are you supposed to prepare 100%? Attempt all the 6 mock exams which we have developed, because when developing these 6 mock exams, we have made sure to cover the entire syllabus. So if you go through each of our 6 mock exams, thereby adhering to our study plan, you can assure a pass at your OCS exam. So do not worry about these 3 pillars, or do not worry about learning the theoretical concepts, because we have covered all these elements within our mock exams. Even if you are coming through an exemption route, you can easily learn theory and understand how to apply this theoretical knowledge when developing answers by watching our 20 master classes. Okay, so you need not really worry about each of these concepts covered under each of these syllabus areas. Okay, so that's the first part of our webinar. So before we move on to the industry analysis and the Preseen analysis, let me quickly tell you what we offer at TCS. So I'm on the OCS page. If you're yet to create a free account, click on this button and create a free user account. And via this free account, you will gain access to You will gain access to the free mock exam, its suggested answer, and the answer plan. And on top of that, you have the chance of attempting the free mock exam under exam conditions via our exam platform. We have given you access to the exam platform this time, so you can attempt the free mock exam. So, however, I'm asking you guys not to attempt the mock exam right now. Wait until we are done with webinar 3, because you need to learn an answering and time management technique before you attempt mock number 1. And on top of that, as part of the free content, you would gain access to the webinars, the recorded versions of the webinars and workshops which we conduct until your exam. And if you're interested in investing on paid content, click on this button and check out our paid content. And check out the sample material rather. Then if you're yet to join the OCS WhatsApp group, click on this button and join it. Via this group, you can get in touch with me as well as your colleagues and share knowledge. And if you have any questions, you can raise these concerns via the WhatsApp group. I'm always there to help you guys out. So talking about what we offer 2 main packages, the value pack and the premium pack. The value pack is designed for students who are coming through the CIMA general route. Since you are coming through the general route, you would have completed your OTQ exams, which indicates that you have already learned theory. So if you had learned theory, if you had completed the OTQs, you simply need to focus on improving your application skills. And with these set of students in mind, we have developed the value pack. So the value pack rather comes with the recordings of all webinars and workshops, the 5 mock exams with suggested answers. So these are only the paid mock exams. In addition to that, we are providing a free mock exam. So all in all, you will gain access to 6 mock exams with their suggested answers. And you will also gain access to the Preseen analysis videos, 4 videos in total. And the annotated Preseen, you'd see what the annotated Preseen looks like in a little while. You will gain access to the industry analysis and financial analysis slides as well. So you will see what the industry analysis slides look like in a little while. So because of that, I'm only going to take you through the financial analysis slides. So these set of slides were prepared for a previous case study. And as you can see, each financial statement which appears within your Preseen document, we have evaluated it. And when analyzing each of these financial statements, we have kept things simple so that you can easily understand what appears within each financial statement. So that's exactly what you can see here with regards to the statement of financial position or the balance sheet. And a similar approach had been adhered to with regards to evaluating the statement of cash flows as well. And at the very end, we have conducted a ratio analysis. Again, each of these ratios, we have evaluated them. And when evaluating them, we have kept things simple so that you can easily understand what's highlighted within each financial statement. Okay. And you'd also gain access to top 10 likely issue slides, which indicate the most probable scenarios which can be thrown at you at your real exam based on what appears within the Preseen document. Then you'd also gain access to a case study familiarization kit. By going through this familiarization kit, within 10 to 15 minutes, you can gain an in-depth understanding about the technicalities behind your OCS exam. You'd also gain access to a tutor-managed live chat and OTQ revision cards. So after attempting each mock exam, if you feel that you need to brush up on your theoretical knowledge, or if you feel that you had forgotten a certain theoretical concept, simply refer to the OTQ revision cards. Within a short period of time, you can revise each syllabus areas which you would have missed out on when conducting your preparations for OTQs, or each syllabus area which you have forgotten by the time you are attempting the OCS mock exams. So the value pack is priced at £199. And talking about the premium package, this is designed for students who are coming through the exemption route, such as the FLP route. So you'd gain access to all material which appears within the value pack. Additionally, you'd gain access to the online mock exam platform. I said we have given you access to the online mock exam platform so that you can attempt mock number 1 under exam conditions. So likewise, focusing on the remaining 5 mock exams, you can attempt the remaining 5 mock exams as well within the exam platform, which gives you the opportunity to keep practicing answering and time management techniques. And on top of that, when attempting each mock exam under exam conditions, you will be exposed to exam stress. Then you'd know how to handle your exam stress at your real exam. And on top of that, you will receive one-on-one tutor feedback on mocks 3, 4, and 5. Let me quickly show you the type of feedback which we provide at TCS. As you can see, each paragraph had been evaluated, and in-depth feedback. We have provided in-depth feedback, thereby highlighting your shortcomings. So throughout this answer script, you can see the type of feedback this student had received in the previous sitting. And at the very end, mark allocations are provided on a subtask by subtask basis. You can see the success rate and indication of a success rate. This success rate indicates, or the areas which are highlighted in yellow indicate the areas in which the student has not performed well. So after receiving tutor feedback, rather than trying to attempt the entire mock exam by allocating 3 hours of your time, rather than wasting a lot of time, you are simply expected to redevelop answer plans focused on the subtasks which are highlighted in yellow. That's the best type of revision you have to be involved with the intention of further improving the quality of your answers and further improving your answer structures. And at the very end, general comments are also provided with the intention of highlighting your shortcomings, so that you really understand what you need to avoid when conducting preparations for your OCS exam. And you will also gain access to answer plans of all 5 mock exams. No other service provider is giving you this service. So let me quickly show you an answer plan as well. So these answer plans, if you had already sat for the OCS exam, and if you had utilized services offered by other service providers, you will only gain access to the mock exams and the suggested answers. We have gone a step further, and we have come up with study summaries focused on each of the 6 mock exams which we have developed for you. So once you have access to this answer plan, you can easily understand how to structure answers. You can easily understand how theoretical elements had been brought in when developing the answer, and what type of relevant Preseen information had been brought in again when developing your answers. And after attempting each mock exam, you are expected to simply go through these answer plans to understand the points which you should have highlighted. This will help you quickly understand your shortcomings, and this will help you overcome your shortcomings and significantly improve the quality of your answer plans or your answer structures. So you'd gain access to the answer plans of all 6 mock exams, along with the 20 master classes. So in each mock exam, just like in your real exam, there are 4 tasks. So 4 tasks into 5 tasks come up to 20 tasks in total. So focused on each of these 20 tasks, we have developed master classes, and in each master class, based on the answer plans, we are explaining the logic of each answer. Whilst explaining the logic of each answer, we are teaching you theory and application skills. So most students who are coming through the exemption route, they need to learn theory and significantly improve your application skills. So you need not conduct studies on your own. You need not refer to your own study material, your short notes and whatnot. Instead, simply watch this set of videos. Then you'd easily learn theory and improve application skills. So once you have access to all this material, you can pass for sure. So that's exactly why we are providing a pass guarantee for the premium package. However, in order to claim the pass guarantee, you have to complete these 3 requirements. So what does this pass guarantee tell us? If you invest on the premium package and end up failing the exam, you will gain access to the premium package in your subsequent sitting free of charge. However, in order to claim the pass guarantee, you have to complete all mock exams, because without completing all mock exams, you do not stand a chance to cover the entire syllabus. As I mentioned earlier, if you're planning simply to attempt 1 or 2 mock exams, you cannot cover the entire syllabus. If you're not covering the entire syllabus, you are testing your luck at your real exam. So you have to complete all mock exams. Then the solutions provided for each of the mock exams, they need to be original. There's absolutely no point of you going through the answer plans, the suggested answers, or the master classes before attempting each mock exam, especially pertinent to mocks 3, 4, and 5, given the fact that you are receiving tutor feedback for mocks 3, 4, and 5. So we are asking you guys to do an honest job. If so, you stand a chance to really understand what your shortcomings are. If you understand your shortcomings, you can avoid them at your real exam. And you have to meet the performance criteria for mocks 3, 4, and 5. You need to gain 40% or higher. We have come up with this criteria to ensure that you do a serious job when attempting the last 3 mocks, especially given the fact that you are receiving tutor feedback for them. All right. And once you complete these 3 requirements, there's absolutely no way that you'd fail your OCS exam. That's why we are providing a pass guarantee. So the premium package is priced at £649, which can be paid in 2 monthly installments of £324 each. Or if you opt to pay in full, you can save £100. Therefore, the price will be just £549. So you can select your preferred package and preferred payment option and click on this button and purchase it via the website itself. And talking about what we are supposed to do within this week, according to the study plan, which can be accessed via the website itself, we are in week number 2. And as I mentioned in the previous webinar, the second week is dedicated towards the Preseen document. So within this week, you have to watch the 4 Preseen analysis videos to really understand what's highlighted within your Preseen document. Then you have to refer to the annotated Preseen on your own and refer to the industry and financial analysis slides. So within this week, do everything which is necessary to understand the Preseen document, because from next week onwards, you have to start attempting a mock exam per week. All right, so that's what we offer at TCS. Having said that, let's move on to the Preseen analysis. Before moving on to the Preseen analysis, some questions had come through. I will address them. Let me pause the recording. All right, folks. So after addressing your questions, I'm moving on to the Preseen analysis. So the first part of the Preseen analysis will be conducted based on the industry analysis slides, which we have prepared for the case study, which is applicable for August 2024. And after, taking you through 2 slides of the industry analysis, or the set of industry analysis slides, I will be moving on to the Preseen document, and I will not be taking you through the entire Preseen document because we don't have time. In order to understand the entire Preseen, watch the 4 Preseen analysis videos which come with the paid content. And in today's free webinar, I will be focusing on several departments within Kanann and what happens within these different departments. Okay, so first things first, it's best to understand what this market is all about, or what type of an industry Kanann operates at. So we are in the saddle manufacturing market, and this is this industry is part of a broader horse riding equipment market. So this is a subsegment of or a subpart or a segment of the horse riding equipment market. Okay, so we are only manufacturing saddles. That's what you need to remember. We are a sub part or a segment of the horse riding equipment market, which includes products such as helmets, vests, stirrups, saddles, halters, bridles, and accessories and whatnot. And we are not producing all these things. Kanann is only producing saddles. And saddle manufacturers produce various types of saddles, such as Western, English, dressage, and jumping saddles made from material like leather, synthetic fabrics, and metal. And looking at the internal dynamics of Kanann, what you need to remember is the fact that we are not manufacturing different types of saddles. Instead, we are solely focusing on manufacturing general purpose saddles, which are used for leisure. Okay, so we are not, manufacturing sporty saddles or sport specific saddles. Instead, we are only manufacturing general purpose saddles. And the product characteristics, if you look at the manufacturers within this market, manufacturers focus on providing comfort. When looking at comfort, you have to be conversant about the comfort of the rider as well as the animal or the horse. And on top of that, manufacturers focus on the durability of the saddles which they manufacture. And manufacturers look at performance, especially when developing saddles for sport and related activities. And saddle manufacturers also focus on safety of both the rider as well as the animal or the horse. Okay, so that's how the market is defined. Then I'm gonna focus your attention towards industry trends. So looking at industry trends, first things first, we can see that most manufacturers out there are adopting technology. This is not applicable to Kanann, but if you look at the general dynamics of the saddle manufacturing industry, most major players out there are adopting technological advancements. So they are manufacturing products such as smart saddles, which come with smart technology. So the smart technology will help a rider keep track of the speed at which him or her is riding. And on top of that, it helps you keep track of the health of the horse and whatnot. So all these things, all this performance of a rider as well as a horse can be kept track of via these smart saddles. So, concerning a similar scenario, a question can be thrown at you at your real exam. And most manufacturers out there are, adhering to sustainability standards. They are utilizing recycled material as well as when manufacturing their saddles. And on top of that, rather than using, animal hide, they are using vegetable tanned leather. And they are trying to reduce carbon emissions in manufacturing saddles. And most major players out there are trying to manufacture lightweight and comfortable designs because if the saddle is comfortable and if it's lightweight, it will help the rider to improve the performance as well as it will help the comfort levels of the horse. So that's why when manufacturing saddles, when manufacturing the trees, or you call it the structure of a saddle, another name utilized for structure of the saddle is a tree. So manufacturing the tree, saddle tree, carbon fiber is utilized by most major manufacturers out there. And when it comes to selling the saddles, online retail, options are there. In the good olden days, saddles were only sold through retail outlets. Online business or online channels were not utilized. But now, after COVID, online retail, most manufacturers out there, they have their own online retail, websites as well, which will help customers gain a plethora of information about each and every saddle. And each customer can easily purchase the saddles directly via the websites itself. And most manufacturers out there are concerned about the health and well-being of horses, as I mentioned earlier. So because of that, when manufacturing their saddles, they focus on equal weight distribution and reducing the pressure points, which will increase the comfort of the horses. And the manufacturers are looking at versatility as well, rather than producing one single type of saddle. They are looking at manufacturing or designing saddles which can be used across multiple disciplines, or they are manufacturing multiple purpose saddles as well. And they are focused on safety of both the rider and the horse. With this in mind, they have come up with quick breakaway mechanisms, which will actually help the riders immensely. and they are looking at aesthetics and fashion as well, especially focused on customers who are looking for luxury. So with this in mind, there's a lot of customization coming into the industry as well. So these are the industry trends, and based on these industry trends, scenarios can be thrown at you at your real exam. So I hope you gain an understanding about what this industry is. And having said that, let's move on to the Preseen document, and let's focus on what happens within Kanann by looking at what happens within Kanann's different departments. So first things first, I want to focus your attention towards the type of products manufactured by Kanann. They are manufacturing, 5 different types of saddles, and these 5 different saddles are categorized under 3 main product categories. So the 3 main product categories are Astral, Meteor, and Comet. And as you can see, different leather grades are utilized when manufacturing each type of saddle. So the leather grade ranges from grade E to grade A. And if you look at the Comet range, which carries the highest quality leather grade, which is grade A, the price is $4,500 whereas the Astral Type 1 range, which carries the lowest leather grade, which is Type E, the price is just $2,750. So as you can see, the high quality products carry a higher price, whereas the least quality product, or a lower quality, relatively lower quality product, carries a lower price. So Astral comes with 2 different sizes of trees 1 and 2. The same could be said about the Meteor range as well. And looking at Comet comes in one single size, in Type 3 size, or they are manufacturing Type 3 size saddles. And this is the most expensive saddle out of the 5 ranges due to the A grade leather utilized and the lightest tree. I said that the structure of a saddle is known as a saddle tree. So the Comet range has the lightest saddle tree. So because of that, it's the most expensive, because lighter the saddle, easier it is for the horse, and the performance of the rider will significantly increase. So with the higher quality, the company is charging a higher price. And looking at the saddle leather range, the quality of the saddle leather range, the lowest quality is range E, which carries economic quality. So that's why the saddles are lower priced, whereas the premium quality leathers are categorized under category A. And Kanann sells 5 different saddles, as I highlighted earlier. Okay, so then moving on to the article provided. This article is based on what appeared within a newspaper, based on a 5-minute interview conducted with Freya Kanann. What you need to understand is Freya Kanann is the daughter of the founder of this company. So the article gives a glimpse into Kanann's future. Freya might replace John. Based on the information presented, it appears that Freya might replace her father as the head of the company. And Freya uses Kanann saddles solely for leisure. And Freya plans to diversify Kanann to discipline-specific saddle manufacturing. So as I mentioned earlier, Kanann is not manufacturing discipline-specific saddles. We are solely focusing on manufacturing general-purpose saddles, which are used for leisure. However, Freya, since she is an Olympic equestrian, she might, after taking up reins of the company, she might diversify into the discipline-specific market as well, because as per what's highlighted within the first 2 pages of the Preseen document, sales appear to be dropping because of a lack of innovation. The youngsters do not see Kanann saddles as innovative. So because of that, Freya, if she replaces the founder of the company, she might diversify the company into the discipline-specific saddle manufacturing realm as well, thereby adopting a lot of innovation. So based on this information, the probable exam scenarios which can be tested at your exam could be with regards to diversifying into discipline-specific, saddle manufacturing. And if we diversify into discipline-specific saddle manufacturing, we'd have to acquire new machines, or we have to acquire, or we have to lease new machines. Then when acquiring or leasing out new machines, we'd have to sell old machines. And on top of that, when moving into the discipline-specific market, especially if we are to appear innovative in the eyes of younger customers, we will have to adopt automation and artificial intelligence. So based on these hints provided by the examiner, the probable areas which can be tested will be with regards to suggesting a multitude of KPIs. So if there is a question about, or if there's a scenario about the company diversifying into the discipline-specific market, then you'd be expected to, as the finance officer of the company, you'd be expected to measure the success of the diversification drive. With that in mind, you'd have to suggest KPIs to keep track of the success of the diversification drive. Then you'd be expected to suggest KPIs to measure the performance of divisional managers, and suggesting KPIs to keep track of retailer performance, because when diversifying into the discipline-specific market, we might have to deal with a new set of retailers. If so, we'd have to measure their performance. So with that in mind, be prepared to suggest KPIs to keep track of retailer performance. And we'd have to conduct what-if analysis and sensitivity analysis when diversifying into a new market. If we diversify into the discipline-specific market, definitely your knowledge pertaining to what-if analysis and sensitivity analysis will be tested. Then your knowledge pertaining to decision trees, because when moving into a new market or when introducing a new product to the market, there's a lot of uncertainty. So one way of managing this uncertainty is by drawing up decision trees. So the decision tree will be provided to you at your exam. You are expected to explain what appears as part of the decision tree. And multi-product break-even charts again will be provided at the exam. Your role is to explain these multi-product break-even charts, especially when we are going for something new, when we are diversifying into a new market. You'd be expected to conduct variance analysis, different types of variances. All variances which are covered under your P1 syllabus will be tested at your exam. And I said, if we are going for this type of diversification, we'd have to acquire new machines or equipment. So your knowledge pertaining to IAS 16 property, plant and equipment will be tested. And when acquiring new machines, in order to find money, we might have to sell our old machines. Then again, knowledge which is covered within IAS 16 property, plant and equipment, specifically focusing on revaluations, how to conduct revaluations, will be tested at your exam. Then you'd have to be conversant about how to depreciate these new machines or revalued machines, which falls under IAS 16 property, plant and equipment. And I said we might opt to purchase machines, or on the other hand, we might opt to lease out these new machines. Then when leasing these new machines, your knowledge pertaining to IFRS 16 leases will be tested. And if we are adopting automation and artificial intelligence, we might have to let go of our existing employees, because as per what's highlighted within the Preseen document, mostly we are carrying out labor-intensive manufacturing. So if we adopt automation, we might have to let go a certain set of employees. If so, you'd have to know how to handle these redundancies in an ethical manner. And you'd also have to suggest how to adopt artificial intelligence in operations, and suggesting KPIs to keep track of inefficiencies highlighted in the exam scenario. So when any given company tries to do something new, tries to diversify, they will be exposed to inefficiencies, because we are doing something for the first time. So when being exposed to inefficiencies, you will be expected to suggest KPIs to keep track of these inefficiencies, with the intention of avoiding these inefficiencies in the future. So all these areas can be tested at your exam based on the provided information, and you need not worry. All these elements are covered within our mock exams. And moving further, let's look at let's try to understand what happens within with regards to sales operations. So the examiner has given us an indication about the type of markets in which we operate and the type of sales channels we utilize when selling our saddles to our end customers. So based on the facts and figures provided, we have sold 1,705 saddles as at 31st December 2023. And the total revenue which we have generated by selling this set of saddles is 5.86 million K-dollars, and the gross profit margin stands at 34%. And looking at the sales channels, we are primarily focused on B2B selling. We are not selling directly to our end consumers. Instead, we are selling our saddles via wholesalers and retailers. And some of these retailers only sell Kanann branded saddles, whereas another set of retailers sell multiple brands to their end customers. And that's what we can say about the type of sales which we are involved with. This gives us an indication about a traditional sales process. The company is not utilizing online sales channels. The company does not have its own sales website or online presence. So the company, since it's a traditional company, they are only involved with B2B selling at the moment, selling our products via wholesalers and retailers. However, at your exam, there could be a scenario where the company is considering about moving into online sales, especially given the fact that Freya Kanann is trying to bring in a lot of change within the company. And Kanann sells within Keeland as well as globally. So a majority of the revenues are generated by selling within Keeland, whereas 35% of total revenue is generated by selling in Americas, Europe, and Asia. And looking at the relationships with wholesalers and retailers, the credit period offered to these wholesalers and retailers span across 30 to 60 days, and all our wholesalers and retailers pay on time due to close relationships with sales teams, which is good for business. And on top of that, our sales team tries to visit Keeland's wholesalers and retailers twice a year. I don't think that this is too beneficial for the company, because just because you get in touch with a wholesaler or a retailer every 6 months, it will not drive sales. It will not improve relationships. Although we are enjoying collaborative relationships with our wholesalers and retailers, it's best that we further improve our relationships. So with this in mind, we might have to change if Freya Kanann comes into play, or if she takes up the reins within the company. Then we'd have to go for online channels when getting in touch with our wholesalers and retailers on a regular basis. So at the moment, Kanann receives orders via email. Our wholesalers and retailers will contact our sales team via phone, or they will meet our sales team personally. So this is a traditional approach. So it's best to go for an online relationship management system, such as by implementing a CRM or a customer relationship management system, so that we can get in touch with these wholesalers and retailers in a frequent basis. So probable exam scenarios could be with regards to expanding to another market with the intention of further improving our sales revenue, and transitioning to a website-based order processing system, or in other terms, adopting a CRM or a customer relationship management system, as thereby working closely with our wholesalers and retailers. And based on this information, the probable areas which can be tested will be with regards to suggesting a set of KPIs to keep track of the expansion drive. If we expand to another market, then if we introduce a website to sell our products, or if we introduce a new system to keep track with our customers, B2B customers, then you'd have to suggest KPIs to keep track of website performance or system performance. Then suggesting KPIs to keep track of the performance of wholesalers and retailers. and suggesting KPIs to keep track of the performance of sales teams. All these elements can be tested at your exam. Again, these questions, all these areas are covered within our mock exams. All right, so moving on to the production department, we are involved with 100% in-house manufacturing. So all types of manufacturing occurs within our manufacturing department. We have not adopted outsourcing as yet. So looking at the composition of our in-house manufacturing plant, it consists of production operations. There's a raw material warehouse, there's a finished good warehouse, and packaging and production time per saddle is 28 direct labor hours. So you can see that the company utilizes direct labor hours to keep track of how fast each saddle is manufactured and packaged, which indicates that our manufacturing is primarily labor intensive. So looking at the production stages, there are 4 main stages. First things first, cutting operations occur. Once everything is cut, we assemble all these cut material and whatnot. After assembly is done, it goes to a finishing department. After finishing each saddle, it goes to a packing or packaging department. So let's try to figure out what happens within each of these 4 departments. So within the cutting department, as I mentioned earlier, we are cutting all our raw materials. So this is labor and machine intensive. You can see that laborers as well as machines are involved with cutting operations. Then when it comes to assembly, this consists of assembling different components together to manufacture the final product. So the trees are purchased from sustainable third-party suppliers. So we are not into manufacturing trees or the structure of the saddles. We are purchasing them from a third party, and we are focusing on sustainability. And again, assembly operations are labor intensive as well as machine intensive. And looking at the finishing department, oiling these saddles to ensure longevity is handled within the finishing department, and final quality checks are carried out before the finalized saddles are sent to the packaging department. And under packaging operations, we package our saddles in bespoke boxes. So there's a lot of customization when it comes to packaging operations, and packing appropriately is essential with regards to protecting saddles during transportation. So when looking at packaging operations, we cannot simply disregard it. We have to make sure that we package in the most suitable manner. If not, we cannot, even if we get our manufacturing right, we will not be in a position to sell our saddles to our B2B partners. So based on all this information, the probable areas which can be tested are with regards to suggesting KPIs pertaining or covering the production department. In your question, there will be, the examiner might highlight a certain inefficiency we are facing within the production department at the moment, and with the intention of keeping track of these inefficiencies and getting rid of these inefficiencies, you will be expected to suggest KPIs. Then, since we are dealing with third-party tree suppliers, in order to keep or measure performance of these third parties, you will be expected to suggest KPIs. And since we are into 100% in-house manufacturing, at your exam, there could be a question where the company is considering about outsourcing a certain element of our manufacturing operations. If so, your knowledge pertaining to make or buy decisions will be tested, and activity-based costing as well as activity-based budgeting will be tested. I will inform you about the current costing methodology as well as the budgeting methodology adopted by or adhered to the company, the current budgeting and costing system the company adheres to at the moment, in a little while when I'm taking you through what happens within the finance department. However, at your exam, there could be a question where the management team is thinking about shifting to an ABC system or an ABB system. If so, they will ask your opinion about it. So you have to be conversant with ABC as well as ABB and how it will impact the company. And your knowledge pertaining to linear programming will be tested, especially pertaining to manufacturing operations, because if you are exposed to scarce resources, you need to draw up linear programming graphs, especially if we are diversifying into a new market. Then we'd be exposed to some type of scarcity, and when being exposed to scarce resources with the intention of utilizing these scarce resources in the most efficient manner, you have to draw up a linear program. So at your exam, you are not supposed to draw up these graphs. Instead, the graph will be provided. You have to explain the graph. And your knowledge pertaining to, as I mentioned earlier, what if as well as sensitivity analysis will be tested at your exam, and how our internal operations will change by adopting total quality management, which falls under your E1 syllabus, can also be tested at your exam. And the probable areas, exam scenarios, which can be tested are with regards to a production inefficiency, which leads to a machine downtime and idling staff, and focused on these elements, variance analysis, as well as suggesting KPIs to get rid of these type of inefficiencies will be tested at the exam. So as I mentioned earlier, variance analysis, your knowledge pertaining to variance analysis will be tested. IAS 10, events after reporting period, since we are dealing with different types of raw material, events after reporting period will be tested. And IFRS, your knowledge pertaining to IFRS 5, non-current assets held for sale and discontinued operations. So if we end up selling our old machines, and if we are intending to, if some of the assets or the machines are remaining unsold at the end of the financial year, you'd have to utilize IFRS 5 when accounting them for them. So your knowledge pertaining to IFRS 5 will be tested at your exam. Again, all these elements are covered within our mock exams. So that's about what happens within the production department. As I told you earlier, you need not go through all this information. We have come up with an appropriate summary. So if you go through these annotations, you can easily understand the most important points which are highlighted within the Preseen document. So we have made your life easy. Then moving into distribution and purchasing, I'm not going to take up a lot of time because you can easily go through these points and understand what's highlighted within the Preseen document. All in all, when it comes to supply chain management or purchasing or dealing with suppliers, we enjoy collaborative relationships. And on top of that, we are dealing with multiple sourcing as well as single sourcing. So by going through these points, you'd gain an in-depth understanding about what I'm talking about. And after referring to the 4 Preseen analysis videos in full, you can gain an in-depth understanding about what happens within this department. I want to direct your attention towards what happens within the finance function, because as a finance officer, you have to be conversant about what happens within your own department and what type of shortcomings are there. So first things first, our finance systems are not integrated. So this is a major issue which you can see within this company, since the way in which we conduct our operations are quite primitive. Since we are not utilizing a lot of systems, even when we are utilizing systems, since we have not connected these systems, this inefficiency will definitely be tested at your exam. So financial systems are not integrated. That's what you need to remember. And if Freya Kanann comes into the picture, definitely she will work on integrating these systems, which run in a haphazard manner at the moment. And we are using standard absorption costing based on direct labor hours. Why direct labor hours? Because most of our manufacturing operations are labor intensive, as I've mentioned previously. So because of that, we are using direct labor hours as the absorption base, and we are using standard absorption costing. And the standard cost cards are updated in an annual basis, which indicates that we are practicing traditional costing. So there is a shortcoming in this area as well, because since we are not utilizing systems, we cannot keep track of uncertainties in the market or changes in the market. And On top of that, when we change our standards on an annual basis, definitely we will be exposed to variances. So if we are utilizing our systems, if we are in a position to accurately predict or keep track of what happens within the industry, then it's totally fine to utilize standard cost cards, which are or to have standards which are updated annually. However, we don't have proper systems, so because of that, we cannot keep track of how external dynamics are going to affect our internal operations. And on top of that, our systems are not integrated, and our standards are only updated annually. So because of that, our real performance could be way off the standards which we utilize, and these standards are only updated in an annual basis. So these standards might become outdated after 10 or 12 months. So because of that, variance analysis will definitely be tested at your exam. And and looking at our budgeting system, we are utilizing annual incremental budgeting, which is aligned with the standard absorption costing system, which we practice within the company. Again, when it comes to budgeting, going for an annual and incremental budgeting system will carry its disadvantages, especially given the fact that if our standards become outdated, then our budgets will become inaccurate. So all these elements, similar questions have been developed and included within our mock exam, so that you understand how these elements can be tested at your real exam. So based on this information, I've conducted a general analysis. As I mentioned earlier, our finance operations are quite primitive, and we are not really focusing on management accountancy related activities. Instead, we are only focused on reporting initiatives, thereby focusing on financial accountancy. So as a finance officer, your main role is to play your main objective is to play the role of a management accountant, or handling management accountancy related work. So definitely these elements, these shortcomings will be highlighted at your real exam. And as I mentioned earlier, standards might become outdated since they are updated annually. Hence, it's best to track changing market dynamics, forecast accurately. So forecasting techniques will be tested at your exam. And therefore, if we get these two things right, we can set accurate standards. So probable areas which can be tested are pertinent to variance analysis. So, expect to explain the differences between planning and operational variances and relate these explanations to the information presented in each scenario. Then your knowledge pertinent to sales mix and quantity variances will be tested, especially given the fact that we are selling 5 different types of products. And your knowledge pertinent to other costing methods will be tested at your exam. On top of your knowledge pertinent to standard absorption costing, other costing methods such as activity-based costing as well as digital costing will be tested at the exam. And on top of your knowledge with regards to annual and incremental budgeting systems, alternative budgeting systems will be tested, such as participative budgeting, zero-based budgeting, rolling budgets, and budget stress testing. And again, your knowledge in relation to what-if analysis as well as sensitivity analysis will be tested at your exam. Again, all these elements are covered within our mock exam, so you need not worry about each syllabus area. For instance, if you're not too conversant with a certain syllabus area such as linear programming, you need not worry. Simply watch the masterclass, then you'd learn how to interpret a linear programming graph easily. And by trying to replicate the structure depicted within the answer plan, you can easily improve the structure and quality of your answers. Okay, so that's all about what happens within the different departments of our company. And in order to gain an in-depth understanding about all the information which appears within the Preseen document, watch the 4 Preseen analysis videos. Okay, so having said that, I'm proud to say that we achieved a 93% pass rate in the February sitting, And most of our students who adhered to our study plan, thereby attempted a mock exam per week, gained more than 100 marks when the pass mark was just 80 marks. So as you can see, this student ended up, gaining 103 marks in the February sitting. And all right, so you might have some questions. If you have any questions, you can raise them now. I'm going to pause the recording. Okay, folks, thank you very much for those questions. So having addressed your concerns, I'm going to, wrap up the session. So if you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. Go to our website and click on contact and type out your message. Our admin staff will get in touch with you via email. And if you want to email us, you can email us via info@study@tcs.com or WhatsApp us on this number. I invite you guys to follow us on our social media handles, especially TikTok and YouTube, given the fact that the recorded versions of these webinars and workshops will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. And as I mentioned earlier, you can gain access to Preseen mind map via the TikTok handle. So go, follow these social media handles. So having said that, it brings us to the end of today's webinar. I hope you gained an understanding about what happens within your chosen company's industry, as well as its internal dynamics. As I mentioned earlier, in order to gain an in-depth understanding, you are expected to watch the 4 pre-scene analysis videos within this week, thereby adhering to our study plan. And I hope to see you guys next Saturday when I'm conducting the answering technique webinar, which is the most crucial element you need to get right at your real exam. So I hope you'd attend it without fail. And if you know any friends who are doing OCS in August, let them know about the third webinar as well. So thank you very much for joining. I'll see you guys next Saturday. Cheers.